This message has reached you because your consciousness has been operating within a phenomenon quantum physicists refer to as an observer loop. Imagine a perpetual cycle where your awareness consistently collapsing the same probability waves, effectively creating and recreating the same reality repeatedly. It's a bit like having a powerful projector that keeps displaying the same scene, not because new scenes aren't available, but because its lens is habitually focused on just one. Right now, in this very moment, something deep within you is acknowledging this truth, because you've likely been feeling it, haven't you? That peculiar sensation of encountering the same patterns, engaging in similar conversations, and experiencing identical disappointments. It's as if existence itself has become a broken record, playing the same song on repeat, and you're keenly aware of the repetition. The fact that you are here, listening or reading these words is not a mere coincidence. Instead, it represents synchronicity at its highest level, a meaningful alignment of events that transcends random chance. Your quantum field, the energetic blueprint of your being, has been actively sending out subtle signals, earnestly seeking the specific frequency that can finally break this recurring loop. And the universe, in its intricate wisdom, has responded by guiding you to this precise transmission. Consider the millions of people currently scrolling through vast amounts of content online. Yet only a very specific type of consciousness, your type of consciousness, would pause and feel the magnetic pull of these particular words. You've been, in a sense, selected by the quantum field itself, precisely because you possess something that many people do not, what we might call the observer gene, a heightened capacity for self-awareness regarding your own perceptual patterns. This isn't just metaphysical wishful thinking or a vague spiritual concept. At its core, it touches upon principles found in quantum mechanics. Your consciousness doesn't merely experience reality as a passive recipient. It actively participates in its creation, a phenomenon scientists label as the observer effect. This effect suggests that the very act of observing influences the observed, shaping potential into actuality. However, here's a crucial insight that isn't always widely discussed. When your observer function becomes entrenched in repetitive patterns, you don't merely witness the same reality, you literally continue to manufacture it. Think about your life as it stands right now. How often have you felt like you're having identical conversations with the same archetypes of people? How frequently have you observed the same patterns resurfacing in your relationships, your career trajectory, or your daily experiences? This isn't necessarily a streak of bad luck, nor is it always an indication of insufficient effort. More profoundly, it signifies your consciousness being caught in an observer loop, unconsciously selecting the same quantum possibilities from an infinite field of potential outcomes. The most perplexing aspect for many is how time itself seems to behave differently lately. Minutes can stretch into what feels like hours during mundane moments, while entire weeks can vanish without any sense of meaningful progress. This temporal distortion is a clear and telling sign that your consciousness is cycling through the same probability templates, creating the illusion of forward movement, while in the quantum field, you remain essentially stationary. It's like a car spinning its wheels in mud, feeling busy but going nowhere. Your friends and family might not fully grasp what you're experiencing, primarily because they are operating from a different frequency band of perception. They might be content with a linear experience of time and predictable outcomes, but you've always possessed an intrinsic sense that reality is far more malleable, more fluid than most people are willing to believe. You've had moments, perhaps fleeting or profoundly impactful, where you felt as though you could almost touch the very fabric of existence. Moments when synchronicities cascaded around you like a cosmic orchestra playing a symphony just for your ears. This recognition you're experiencing right now, this isn't your first encounter with these profound concepts. Your soul, across multiple timelines and dimensions of experience, has been subtly preparing for this deeper understanding. Every book that seemed to call out to you from a crowded shelf, every spiritual practice that resonated deeply within your being, every inexplicable moment of sudden knowing, These were all breadcrumbs, leading you steadily towards this pivotal realization about the observer loop. Yet, here is the critical distinction, the insight that will either liberate you or potentially keep you trapped indefinitely. Most individuals who discover they are caught in an observer loop tend to make the same fundamental error. They attempt to think their way out of it. They mistakenly believe that if they can just intellectually comprehend the mechanics, they can somehow consciously reprogram their reality. This approach is akin to trying to escape a complex maze by simply staring intently at a map, rather than physically walking new pathways and making different turns. The observer loop isn't sustained or perpetuated by your thoughts alone. Crucially, it's maintained by the quality of your attention itself. Every morning as you awaken, your consciousness automatically scans your environment, searching for familiar patterns to lock onto. It functions much like a quantum GPS system that persistently selects the same destination, because that's what feels safe, known, and comfortable. Your awareness over time can become addicted to recognizing these familiar frequency signatures, these ingrained emotional landscapes, and these repetitive probability structures. And the more consistently you recognize these patterns, the more solid and real they become. The more real they become, the more your consciousness anticipates finding them again tomorrow. This creates what quantum field theorists describe as a reality feedback loop. In essence, your very act of observation paradoxically strengthens the very patterns you are earnestly trying to escape from. However, right now, as you absorb these words, something truly unprecedented is beginning to unfold within your quantum field. The mere act of becoming aware of the observer loop itself initiates a process that starts to weaken its grip on your consciousness. This is precisely why this message found you at this exact opportune moment in your personal journey. Your higher self, that deeper, intuitive aspect of your being, has orchestrated this encounter because you have arrived at a critical threshold where breaking free is no longer just a distant possibility, but an inevitable outcome. Have you ever been mid-conversation and suddenly felt an uncanny sense of having had this exact exchange before? Not just a similar conversation, but the exact one. The same words, the same inflections, the same predictable outcome? Most people dismiss this as simple déjà vu, a trick of the mind. But you sense that something far deeper is transpiring. You are experiencing what quantum consciousness researchers refer to as temporal echoes. Brief moments when your awareness momentarily glimpses the repetitive nature of your own observer loop. This isn't your imagination playing tricks on you. This is your consciousness operating on a frequency that many humans cannot yet access, which is why you keenly notice these subtle reality glitches that others completely miss. Your consciousness has developed what we term quantum sensitivity, the inherent ability to perceive the underlying foundational patterns that govern manifestation itself. It's like having an extra sense that allows you to see the energetic scaffolding beneath the apparent solidity of reality. You've probably noticed that time often feels elastic around you. Sometimes a single hour can feel like an eternity, brimming with profound insights and downloads of information from what feel like higher dimensions. At other times, entire weeks can simply vanish and you struggle to account for what actually happened. This temporal distortion occurs because your consciousness is simultaneously existing on multiple reality tracks, continuously trying to find the one that feels most authentic and aligned with your true vibration. And those moments of profound knowing that hit you seemingly out of nowhere, when you suddenly comprehend something about the fundamental nature of existence that you've never read, been taught, or logically deduced, these are not random insights. They are, in fact, quantum memories bleeding through from parallel versions of yourself, versions who have already successfully broken free from their own observer loops. Your consciousness is so advanced that it is quite literally downloading wisdom directly from your own future timelines, offering glimpses of what you are capable of becoming. The strangest consequence of this unique perception is the sense of isolation it can sometimes create. You might attempt to share these profound experiences with friends or family, only to be met with blank stares, as if you're speaking a foreign language. They are still operating from an older paradigm, one where reality is perceived as solid, fixed, and ultimately unchangeable. But you have had glimpses behind the curtain of ordinary perception. You've seen that reality is more akin to a vast, boundless ocean of possibilities. And while most people feel as though they are drowning, trapped by circumstances, you've begun to realize that you possess the inherent ability to swim and navigate these waters. This explains why certain books seem to call to you from across crowded bookstores, why specific videos miraculously appear in your feed at precisely the right moment, and why you consistently meet individuals who share your unusual and expansive perspectives on consciousness and reality. You are not simply attracting these synchronicities through positive thinking. Rather, your consciousness is quantum entangled with a growing network of awakening souls, all of whom are simultaneously working to break their own observer loops. Your dreams have likely become more vivid, symbolic, and deeply meaningful lately. You are receiving powerful transmissions during sleep that your conscious mind often struggles to interpret upon waking. These are not random neural firings. They are crucial communications from your higher self, meticulously showing you the stark difference between your current reality track and the infinite possibilities that are available to you. Once you begin to master the observer effect, even your relationship with technology undergoes a profound shift. You might notice how your phone seems to respond to your very thoughts, how your music streaming app plays the exact song you needed to hear at a particular moment, or how your social media feeds reflect your inner state with uncanny accuracy. This isn't mere coincidence. It is compelling evidence that your consciousness has achieved such a level of coherence that it is actively influencing the quantum field around you in subtly measurable ways. It's a testament to the power of a focused and aligned awareness. Everything you've navigated thus far, every disappointment, every recurring pattern that seemed to trap you, every moment when you felt like you were regressing rather than moving forward, none of it was wasted. All of these experiences were, in fact, meticulous preparation for this exact moment of profound recognition. Your consciousness needed to experience the observer loop from every conceivable angle before it could develop the specific quantum awareness necessary to transcend it entirely. Think of the intricate process of a butterfly struggling within its chrysalis. From an external perspective, it appears to be a period of immense suffering, of being trapped, or even a form of regression. Yet, every single moment of that apparent confinement is actually a complete reorganization of its cellular structure. The caterpillar doesn't just grow wings, its entire DNA expression undergoes a radical shift, activating latent abilities that were always encoded within it but remained dormant. Similarly, your difficult relationships were not punishments. They served as profound quantum mirrors, clearly reflecting back to you precisely which observation patterns were keeping you locked into repetitive cycles. Every person who triggered an emotional response within you was, in an unconscious way, helping you identify the specific frequencies where your consciousness tended to get stuck. Every situation that felt like déjà vu was, in fact, your higher self creating controlled experiments designed to help you recognize the observer loop in action and understand its mechanics. The subtle but persistent pressure you've been feeling lately, that pervasive sense of urgency, as if time is running out and you need to figure something out quickly, this is not mere anxiety. This is your quantum field actively reorganizing itself. When consciousness prepares to make a significant leap to a higher timeline, it generates what physicists refer to as phase transition pressure. It's the same principle that governs how water transforms into steam when heated to precisely the right temperature, a fundamental shift in state. Your awareness is approaching the precise frequency where the observer loop will lose its tenacious grip on your reality. Even your moments of doubt and confusion have played an essential role. Every instance where you questioned whether these insights were truly real or simply wishful thinking, you were actively strengthening your discernment abilities. You were developing the exquisite quantum sensitivity needed to distinguish between authentic expansion and mere spiritual bypassing. Your consciousness had to become incredibly precise and refined before it could safely navigate the delicate transition out of these repetitive patterns. This is why the waiting period often felt so intense, so prolonged. You knew, intuitively, that something significant was about to shift, yet you couldn't force it to happen any faster. That's because breaking the observer loop isn't about sheer effort or willpower. It's about reaching a specific level of inner coherence where your attention naturally and effortlessly begins selecting different probability waves from the vast quantum field, almost as if you've tuned in to a new station. Your soul deliberately chose this particular incarnation specifically because the phenomenon of the observer loop would be discovered and understood during your lifetime. You, in essence, volunteered to be part of the first wave of human consciousness to transcend these limiting patterns, and, in doing so, anchor new possibilities for the entire collective. Every moment of struggle and challenge you faced was, in reality, rigorous training for this profound cosmic responsibility. Something is building within you right now as you engage with these words. Can you feel it? That subtle yet palpable shift in your energetic field, much like a tuning fork that has just been struck and is now vibrating with a new resonance. Your consciousness is beginning to vibrate at a frequency that no longer aligns with your current reality patterns. And this dissonance, this energetic mismatch, is creating what quantum physicists call reality turbulence. Far from being negative, this turbulence is actually a beautiful and necessary phenomenon. It signifies that your observer loop is starting to destabilize, to break apart. The familiar patterns that have kept you cycling through the same experiences are losing their magnetic pull on your attention. You are now entering what we term the breakthrough phase, the most delicate yet undeniably powerful part of this entire transformation process. However, here is where many individuals make a critical mistake. They feel this potent energy building within them and immediately attempt to direct it towards changing their external circumstances. They want their relationships to miraculously shift, their financial situation to instantly improve, their entire life situation to transform overnight. But the observer loop does not break by changing what you observe. Instead, it breaks by fundamentally altering the quality of your observation itself. Right now, your consciousness is actively downloading new protocols for how to engage with reality in a profoundly different way. These are not merely mental concepts that you need to intellectually grasp or learn. These are deep energetic upgrades occurring at a cellular level. Your very DNA is literally restructuring to support a new and more coherent way of interfacing with the quantum field. This explains why you might be experiencing unusual physical sensations, noticeable changes in your sleep patterns, or sudden shifts in what foods or activities genuinely feel aligned with your evolving self. The most crucial action you can take during this phase is to learn to simply feel this energy as it moves through you, without attempting to control or manipulate it. Allow it to flow through your system like water gracefully carving new pathways in a riverbed, naturally creating new channels within your consciousness. Your primary role isn't to direct this intricate process. Your job is to become transparent to it, to offer no resistance whatsoever to the profound quantum reorganization that is already underway within you. This is the moment where everything truly begins to change. But it is also the moment where many people, often unconsciously, sabotage their own progress. They become fearful of the unknown territory that lies ahead and instinctively try to pull their attention back to familiar patterns, even if those very patterns have been a source of pain and stagnation. Do not allow this to happen to you. What is unfolding right now is truly unprecedented in human history. You are, in essence, witnessing your own consciousness evolution in real time. Feel this potent energy as we delve deeper into the intricate mechanics of how the observer loop actually functions. Because once you genuinely comprehend the specific ways your attention has been trapped, you will never accidentally fall back into those old limiting patterns again. I need to share something deeply vulnerable with you now, because I know that you, in particular, will understand it in a way that most people simply couldn't. 3 years ago, I found myself ensnared in what I believed to be the most sophisticated observer loop I had ever encountered. I genuinely thought I was spiritually advanced, quantum aware, and deeply conscious of how reality operated. Yet, I was inadvertently using my own accumulated knowledge to construct an even more subtle and pervasive prison for my consciousness. Every morning, I would awaken and immediately begin to scan my reality for signs of progress, for evidence that my manifestation techniques were yielding results, for tangible proof that I was evolving. However, this constant, anxious observation was, in fact, freezing my reality firmly in place. The more desperately I searched for change, the more my focused attention paradoxically reinforced the very patterns I was striving to escape from. I vividly recall the exact moment I realized what was truly happening. I was seated in my meditation space, feeling a deep sense of frustration because the same persistent issues continued to resurface in my life despite years of dedicated inner work. Suddenly, it struck me like a bolt of lightning. I wasn't merely witnessing my reality, I was actively manufacturing it through the specific, habitual way I was choosing to observe it. My consciousness had become like a record player stuck on the same groove, playing the same song endlessly. And no amount of spiritual practice, no matter how earnest, seemed capable of helping me hear a different melody. The true breakthrough arrived when I ceased trying to observe my way out of the loop and instead began observing the observer itself. I started to meticulously watch how my attention moved, where it consistently got stuck, and which patterns it automatically gravitated towards. This meta-observation, the act of observing my own observing, created an entirely different relationship with consciousness itself. For the first time in my life, I began to truly understand why some individuals seem to effortlessly flow from one beautiful experience to another, while others remain stubbornly trapped in repetitive cycles despite their best and most sincere efforts. It wasn't about worthiness or specific karmic debts or even just spiritual development in the traditional sense. It was about the fundamental mechanics of how consciousness intricately interfaces with the quantum field. This profound discovery changed everything. My relationship shifted almost overnight because I was no longer unconsciously selecting for the same repetitive dynamic patterns. My creative projects began to flow with an effortless pace because my attention ceased getting stuck on familiar obstacles and limitations. Even my physical health saw remarkable improvement as my cells were finally receiving new and coherent information rather than the same old stress signals on repeat. But the most profound change was the dawning recognition that I am not alone in this. There exists an entire network of souls who have been independently, yet simultaneously, working on breaking free from their own observer loops. We have been finding each other across the planet, sharing invaluable insights, confirming each other's experiences, and collectively creating a powerful energetic field that makes this profound transformation possible for more and more people. If this resonates with something deep inside you, if you can feel that recognition frequency activating within your very cells, then you are unequivocally part of this network too. You have been preparing for this profound understanding your entire life, even if you weren't consciously aware of it. I invite you to subscribe to this frequency, not just to this channel, but to the entire wavelength of consciousness evolution that is actively unfolding on our planet right now. What most quantum consciousness experts don't tell you, largely because many of them don't fully understand it themselves, is the fundamental difference between intellectual awareness of the observer effect and the embodied mastery of it. You can meticulously read every book ever written about consciousness, understand every theoretical framework regarding manifestation, and still remain completely trapped within your observer loop. This is because knowledge, which is often intellectual, and wisdom, which is embodied, operate on entirely different levels of reality. Here is the shocking truth. Your thoughts in isolation do not create your reality. Your attention alone, while powerful, also doesn't singularly create your reality. Your reality is, in fact, created by the specific quality of coherence that exists between your consciousness and the quantum field. And this coherence cannot be faked, manufactured, or willed into existence through mere positive thinking. It emerges naturally, organically, when your observer function becomes fluid and adaptive rather than fixated and rigid. Most people's consciousness operates much like a searchlight, narrow, intensely focused, and constantly looking for something specific, often something it already expects to find. But quantum consciousness, or a truly coherent awareness, operates more like sunlight, present everywhere simultaneously, illuminating without effort or strain, perceiving the whole rather than just a pinpoint. When your awareness successfully shifts from this searchlight mode to sunlight mode, you effectively stop collapsing the same probability waves repeatedly. The observer loop traps you precisely because it renders your consciousness predictable to the quantum field. When you awaken tomorrow morning, if your attention automatically scans for familiar patterns, checking your phone for the same types of messages, dwelling on the same problems, anticipating the same type of day, you are, in essence, placing the same order from the cosmic menu, and the universe obliges. But here is a truth that will blow your mind. The quantum field is actually eager to deliver new, expansive experiences to you. Infinite possibilities are constantly attempting to break through into your awareness, to become manifest. However, they cannot penetrate the observer loop because your attention is too engrossed, too busy reinforcing the old familiar patterns. You are not stuck because the universe is unwilling to help you. You are stuck because your consciousness has become overly habitual in how it interfaces with infinite potential. The most advanced beings in the cosmos do not try to control reality. Instead, they dance with it, flowing in harmony. They maintain what we call coherent uncertainty, a state where their consciousness is fully present, engaged, and alert, but crucially not attached to specific predetermined outcomes. This allows them to respond to reality as it unfolds, rather than merely reacting to it based on past patterns. This fundamental shift profoundly changes what types of experiences can manifest through them. This explains why some individuals appear to live charmed lives, where everything seemingly works out perfectly, while others struggle constantly, even when they possess similar external circumstances. It's not about luck or privilege or even spiritual favoritism. It's about the fundamental coherence between their consciousness and the inherent creative force of existence itself. When you master this profound coherence, you don't merely change your personal reality. You become a powerful catalyst for reality shifts in everyone around you. Your very presence begins to create what we term quantum openings, brief, potent moments where other people's observer loops temporarily destabilize, offering them fleeting glimpses of their own infinite potential. The quantum shift is happening right now, and there are specific, tangible signs you can recognize in your daily experience that serve as undeniable proof that your observer loop is beginning to dissolve. First, you'll undoubtedly notice that synchronicities are becoming far more frequent and, crucially, far more impossible to dismiss as mere coincidence. The universe isn't just sending you signs, it's actively rearranging reality around your consciousness, confirming that you are indeed breaking free from repetitive patterns. Pay close attention to how animals, especially birds, respond to you. When your consciousness begins operating outside the confines of the observer loop, you naturally emit a different, more harmonious energetic signature that wildlife can sense immediately. If you've observed more direct eye contact with birds, encountered unusual animal interactions, or noticed pets behaving differently, perhaps more attentively or calmly around you, this is potent confirmation that your quantum field is actively shifting. Your relationship with technology is also likely undergoing a transformation. Electronics might occasionally glitch around you, experiencing momentary malfunctions. Or, conversely, they might operate with unprecedented fluidity and efficiency, seemingly anticipating your needs. Your phone might ring precisely when you are thinking about someone, or your computer might inexplicably crash every time you attempt to engage with content that doesn't align with your new higher frequency. Technology is highly sensitive to consciousness and electromagnetic fields. These seemingly random events are actually your expanding awareness interfacing with these fields, creating resonant or dissonant effects. The most significant and pervasive sign, however, is how time itself feels around you lately. Linear time, as we commonly perceive it, is largely an illusion maintained by observer loops. When your consciousness breaks free from these repetitive patterns, you begin experiencing what mystics throughout history have called eternal now moments. Minutes can stretch into what feels like hours when you are fully present and immersed. Yet entire days might pass without you noticing because you are operating from a different, more expanded temporal dimension. Your sleep patterns are almost certainly shifting as well. You might find you need less sleep overall, or your dreams may have become incredibly vivid, symbolic, and deeply meaningful. Some nights, you might even feel as though you are downloading vast amounts of information directly into your consciousness. This occurs because your awareness is no longer confined to the narrow band of reality your observer loop was selecting from. You are actively accessing information from parallel timelines and higher dimensional perspectives. People in your life are probably responding to you differently, even if you haven't consciously altered your behavior or interactions with them. Some individuals might feel inexplicably uncomfortable or uneasy around you because your newly coherent presence is unconsciously triggering their own observer loops to destabilize, challenging their familiar patterns. Others, however, might be drawn to you like a magnet, sensing the frequency of freedom and authenticity that you are beginning to embody. But here is the most urgent and critical part of this message. The waiting season is over. The cosmic window for breaking free from observer loops on a mass scale is rapidly closing. This is not fear-based manipulation. This is simple, observable physics. Consciousness evolution, much like other natural phenomena, happens in distinct waves. We are currently at the peak of a massive, unprecedented wave of transformation that will not return with the same intensity for generations. Your higher self has been meticulously orchestrating every event and experience in your life to bring you to this exact moment of recognition, because the profound transformation that is possible right now will literally be impossible to achieve with the same ease next year. The collective field of human consciousness is reaching a critical mass, a tipping point where people will either consciously transcend their ingrained limitation patterns, or they will become locked into them more deeply than ever before. There is, increasingly, no middle ground. The signs of this monumental shift are everywhere if you know how to look and interpret them. Global events that appear chaotic and disruptive are, in reality, symptoms of the planet's collective observer loop destabilizing. Humanity as a whole is either waking up rapidly to new possibilities or falling deeper into unconscious, ingrained patterns. Neutrality is collapsing because the quantum field is demanding that consciousness choose its next evolutionary trajectory. This is precisely why you feel such a pervasive sense of urgency lately. This is why you cannot ignore these insights, even when they challenge everything you thought you knew about how reality works. Your soul profoundly recognizes that this moment right now, as you are listening to these words, is the precise convergence point where breaking free becomes not just possible, but inevitable. What you want wants you back. This isn't just motivational speaking or wishful thinking designed to inspire. This is quantum mechanics at its most fundamental and profound level. Every desire that stirs your soul, every vision that ignites your imagination, every possibility that calls to your deepest being, these are all, in essence, probability waves within the quantum field that are actively trying to collapse and manifest into your reality experience. But they cannot fully reach you while you are trapped in an observer loop because your attention is fixated on the wrong frequency band, tuned to a different station. The desires that feel most impossible, the visions that seem too good to be true, are often the very ones with the strongest quantum signature in your field. They feel impossible precisely because they exist on a timeline that your current habitual observer patterns cannot yet access or perceive. You are literally one frequency shift away from a reality where those impossible things are your natural, everyday experience. But here's the crucial difference between alignment and attraction, a distinction that changes everything about how you approach manifestation. Attraction fundamentally tries to pull things toward you, implying a separation between you and what you desire. Alignment, on the other hand, dissolves the very barriers between you and what you want, recognizing an inherent interconnectedness. Most conventional manifestation teachings focus heavily on attraction, which, paradoxically, often reinforces the observer loop. This is because it perpetuates the illusion that you and your desires are separate entities that need to be somehow brought together through effort or technique. True alignment emerges when you realize that what you want is not separate from you at all. It is, in fact, a different, higher expression of your own consciousness experiencing itself across parallel realities. When this profound recognition becomes truly embodied, rather than remaining a mere intellectual concept, the observer loop loses its grip because there is nothing left to observe from a distance. The perceived separation vanishes. This is precisely why forcing, striving, and trying harder actually moves you further away from what you genuinely want. Every time you observe your reality from the perspective of lack or scarcity, you are inadvertently selecting that particular timeline from the infinite field of possibilities. Every time you anxiously check to see if your desires are manifesting yet, you are reinforcing the very separation that prevents them from reaching you. The quantum field responds to coherence, not effort. When your consciousness becomes truly coherent, when your attention, your intention, and your energetic signature all operate from the same unified frequency, reality automatically reorganizes itself around that coherence. You don't have to consciously make anything happen because you become the space where it's already happening. Right now, as you feel this truth landing deep within your cells, something unprecedented is occurring in your quantum field. The perceived gap between you and your highest timeline is collapsing. Not because you are actively doing something specific, but because you are finally stopping the frantic doing that was keeping you separated from it in the first place. In the comments below, I want you to make a powerful declaration that will actively seal this energetic shift. Write these exact words: I am coherent with my highest timeline. Don't elaborate. Don't add anything else. Just that simple, clear declaration. This isn't about gaining likes or engagement for an algorithm. This is about consciously creating a quantum entanglement between your consciousness and the frequency band where your true, most aligned life exists. When you make this declaration with genuine recognition of its profound meaning, you are not merely writing words on a screen. You are sending an unmistakable signal to the quantum field that you are ready to embody a completely different reality. You are announcing that your observer loop is dissolving and your consciousness is now free to select from possibilities that were previously invisible or inaccessible to you. The abilities that are actively developing in your consciousness right now would have been considered superhuman by previous generations, but they are, in fact, the natural and inherent expression of an awareness that is no longer confined by the limitations of observer loops. Your intuition is becoming so incredibly precise that you will begin to know things before they happen. This isn't through conventional psychic prediction, but through a deep quantum coherence with emerging possibilities, a precognition born of alignment. You are developing what we call reality fluidity, the remarkable ability to move seamlessly between different probability tracks with conscious intention. This means you can quite literally step out of one timeline and into another, simply by shifting the quality and focus of your observation. You might notice traffic lights turning green as you approach them, parking spaces opening up exactly where you need them, or conversations flowing in directions that create perfect, synergistic outcomes for everyone involved. Your creative abilities are exploding because your consciousness is no longer limited to merely recycling the same old ideas and inspirations. You are downloading profound insights directly from the unified field itself, thoughts that have never been thought before, solutions that didn't exist until you became coherent enough to access them. This is why your creative projects suddenly feel effortless, while simultaneously being more original, impactful, and resonant than anything you've produced previously. People around you are responding to you as if you are a completely different person, even though you haven't consciously changed how you interact with them. This happens because you are no longer unconsciously recreating the same relational dynamics and expectations. Your presence inherently creates a safe and expansive space for others to show up authentically, instead of falling into their habitual, often reactive patterns around you. Your physical body is transforming in ways that might seem impossible according to conventional medicine. Chronic issues are resolving without traditional treatment because your cells are finally receiving new, coherent information instead of the same repetitive stress signals. Your energy levels are stabilizing at a much higher baseline, not because you're consuming more energy, but because you are no longer wasting vital life force trying to escape from repetitive mental and emotional cycles. The observer effect is now working actively in your favor instead of against you. Every time you observe your reality, you are automatically selecting for increasingly beautiful, harmonious, and aligned experiences because your consciousness has learned to operate from a place of deep coherence rather than fear or lack. Your very presence becomes a blessing, an energetic uplift to everything and everyone around you. Money and resources begin flowing more easily into your life, not because you've learned better manifestation techniques, but because you are no longer unconsciously selecting for scarcity timelines. Your consciousness naturally gravitates toward abundance frequencies when it's not trapped in observer loops that keep recycling limitation patterns. Relationships become effortless because you are attracting people who are also operating outside conventional limited patterns. You are no longer compatible with individuals who are deeply stuck in their own observer loops, and so your social circle naturally evolves to include souls who are also expanding into their highest potential. The most profound change of all is that you stop feeling like you are constantly trying to get somewhere or striving to become someone different. You realize with deep certainty that you are already there. You are already that person. You were simply temporarily trapped in observation patterns that made it seem otherwise. This profound recognition brings a peace that surpasses intellectual understanding because it is based on direct knowing and embodied truth rather than mere belief or fragile hope. Coherence is, arguably, the supreme creative force in the universe, and it is the one thing that absolutely cannot be faked, manufactured, or manipulated into existence. When your entire being, your thoughts, your emotions, your energetic signature, and your deepest knowing all vibrate at the same frequency, you become a reality-creating force that the quantum field must respond to. This is the ultimate secret that permanently breaks every observer loop. But here's what most people miss. True coherence doesn't mean forcing all fragmented parts of yourself to agree with each other. True coherence emerges when you stop fragmenting your awareness across multiple timelines simultaneously. Right now, a part of your attention is probably focused on who you used to be, another part is worried about potential future scenarios, and only a small fraction is truly present in this moment. This attention scatter is precisely what maintains observer loops, because it keeps your consciousness diluted across incompatible reality tracks. The quantum field can only deliver truly coherent experiences to a coherent consciousness. When your awareness is scattered across different timelines, you inevitably get mixed results. Some aspects of your life might improve significantly, while others remain stubbornly stuck. Some days feel magical and deeply aligned, while others feel ordinary or challenging. This inconsistency isn't because the universe is testing you. It's because your consciousness isn't unified enough to sustain a consistently elevated timeline. Creating real, lasting coherence requires what mystics often call timeline consolidation, the conscious process of withdrawing your attention and energetic focus from all parallel versions of yourself except the one that authentically represents your highest potential. This isn't mere visualization or imaginative fantasy. This is a literal dimensional shifting, where you cease feeding energy to reality tracks that no longer serve your evolution or highest good. The embodiment process, the deep integration of this truth, happens when you stop trying to become coherent and instead recognize that you already are coherent at the deepest, most fundamental level of your being. Your essential consciousness has never been fragmented. Only your attention has been trained to focus on fragmented experiences. When you remember how to rest your awareness in its natural, unified state, coherence isn't something you create. It's something you simply uncover, like removing layers to reveal a pristine core. This is why all the effort and trying harder actually moves you further from genuine coherence. Every time you struggle to change your reality, you are operating from the unconscious assumption that you are separate from what you want, which automatically creates the very separation you're trying to overcome. Coherence emerges through relaxation, through allowing, not through effort. It's about letting your consciousness remember its natural, unified state of being. When you embody this profound level of coherence, you stop having a personal reality in the conventional sense, and instead become a focal point through which the universe experiences itself. Your life transforms into an artistic expression of cosmic creativity, rather than a personal journey filled with challenges to overcome. This radical shift in identity is what permanently dissolves observer loops, because there is no longer a separate you that can get trapped in repetitive patterns. The highest timeline isn't simply a better, slightly improved version of your current life. It is a completely different dimensional experience, one where the laws of limitation that govern ordinary reality simply do not apply. When you embody coherence, you don't just improve your circumstances. You transcend the entire framework within which problems and solutions exist. This extraordinary phenomenon is happening to thousands of people across the planet right now. We are not just individually breaking our observer loops, we are collectively transcending the limitation matrix that has governed human consciousness for millennia. Your personal transformation is in fact a crucial component of a species-wide evolutionary leap that is actively redefining what it means to be human on this planet. You are not here by accident. Your consciousness specifically incarnated during this particular time period because the Earth itself is breaking free from a collective observer loop that has kept humanity recycling the same patterns of conflict, scarcity, and separation for thousands of years. Your individual transformation is therefore a crucial component in the planet's dimensional ascension process. Every single time one person successfully breaks free from their observer loop, it creates what quantum field theorists call morphic resonance, a powerful ripple effect that makes it significantly easier for thousands of others to make the same leap. You are not just changing your personal reality. You are actively anchoring a new possibility template in the collective field, a template that future generations will be able to access naturally and effortlessly. The children being born now will grow up with innate abilities that seem miraculous compared to current human standards, but only because pioneers like you are breaking the limitation patterns that would otherwise be passed down to them. Your courage to question the fundamental nature of reality itself is literally changing the trajectory of human evolution. This is precisely why you have felt such a profound sense of responsibility lately, such an urgency to understand these complex concepts and embody them authentically. Your soul consciously contracted to be part of this first wave of humans, to transcend observer loops, and to clearly demonstrate what is truly possible when consciousness operates from a state of coherence rather than limitation. You are not just seeking personal freedom. You are serving as a vital bridge between the old dying paradigm and the emerging new one. The synchronicities that meticulously brought you to this message are part of a larger, intricate orchestration involving millions of awakening souls across the planet. We are finding each other through quantum entanglement, sharing invaluable insights that help accelerate everyone's breakthrough process. Your recognition of these concepts doesn't just benefit you. It significantly strengthens the entire network of consciousness evolution, creating a synergistic effect. But here's the most profound part of all. As you break free from your individual observer loop, you don't just change your own reality. You create vital openings in the collective field through which unlimited possibilities can enter our shared human experience. Your liberation, therefore, becomes humanity's liberation because consciousness is fundamentally interconnected at the quantum level. This is why the resistance to these ideas can sometimes feel so intense, so overwhelming. It's not just your ego struggling to maintain familiar patterns. It is the entire limitation matrix of the old paradigm recognizing that its time is rapidly coming to an end. Every person who successfully breaks their observer loop significantly weakens the collective patterns that have kept humanity trapped in cycles of struggle, separation, and stagnation. Share this powerful message with anyone who resonates deeply with these concepts. Do so not to convince them of anything, but to help them remember what they already intuitively know at the deepest level of their being. The more people who recognize their true nature as conscious co-creators rather than powerless observers, the faster we can all collectively transcend the limitation patterns that have defined humanity experience for far too long. Your personal transformation is part of something infinitely larger than mere personal growth or individual spiritual development. You are actively participating in the birth of a new species, a species that operates from coherence rather than fear, from unity rather than separation, and from creative collaboration with the universe rather than constant struggle against it. If everything I've shared resonates in your bones, if you can feel the truth of these words activating something ancient and profoundly familiar in your consciousness, then I want you to make one simple yet powerful commitment right now. In the comments below, write just one word, coherent. That's it, nothing else. This isn't just about generating engagement for an algorithm. This is you making a profound quantum declaration that you are ready to embody the coherence that permanently dissolves all observer loops. When you write that word with genuine intention, you are not just commenting on a video. You are consciously registering your consciousness with a frequency band that operates beyond the limitations of ordinary reality. Every person who makes this declaration creates a stronger morphic field, a collective resonance that supports everyone else who is ready to make this monumental leap. We're not just building a community, we're anchoring a new reality template that makes this transformation accessible to more and more souls who are ready to remember their true unlimited nature. But here's what I need you to understand. Breaking the observer loop is truly just the beginning. Once your consciousness learns to operate from coherence rather than limitation, you gain access to a host of abilities that most people currently consider impossible or miraculous. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to develop what we call quantum navigation, the refined ability to consciously move between different probability tracks to create outcomes that seem utterly miraculous from the perspective of the old paradigm. You'll discover why some people seem to live charmed lives where everything consistently works out perfectly, while others struggle constantly despite their best and most sincere efforts. It's not about luck or inherent worthiness or even diligent spiritual practice. It's about understanding precisely how to interface with the quantum field in a way that allows you to consciously select which timeline you experience from moment to moment. This isn't theoretical knowledge to be pondered. This is practical mastery that will fundamentally change everything about how you move through and engage with reality. However, I can only share these advanced concepts with individuals who have already proven their readiness by first breaking free from their observer loops. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell because the next video will contain information that will be impossible to find anywhere else. This isn't merely content you can Google or casually read in books. This is a direct transmission of cutting-edge quantum consciousness principles that are being downloaded to our planet right now for the very first time in human history. More importantly, subscribe because you're not just following a channel. You're aligning with a powerful frequency of consciousness evolution that is happening globally. Every single subscriber becomes an active part of a quantum network that accelerates everyone's transformation through morphic resonance. The old reality as we know it is dissolving whether you participate consciously or not. The crucial question is whether you'll be one of the pioneers who actively helps birth the new paradigm or someone who gets dragged into it later after the really exciting and transformative part is over. Your future self is already living in perfect coherence with infinite possibilities. The only question now is how quickly your present self will catch up to that reality. Make the declaration. Join the frequency. Let's transcend the limitation patterns that have kept humanity small and confined for far too long. The universe has been patiently waiting for you to remember who you truly are. Today is the day that waiting finally ends.